Every day, Public Works employees fan out throughout the parish to repair, construct, and resolve problems that affect the daily operations of parish infrastructure. Long before work begins in the field, many planning, permitting, and design issues go on the table. Sorting through these tough problems is a collaborative effort between the administration, all the council members, and the Public Works Department. Council members spend many hours in meetings and in the field looking over the plans and problems, bringing citizen concerns to the forefront of each project. And here in the Public Works Department, one standard that has been implemented for all projects is a sense of ownership with each employee involved at every level. That philosophy began with a bottom-up approach.
And we did something kind of unique. We went out and talked to the people that did the work. We met with the workers and we talked to them and to find out what they thought we needed to do and what their problems were.
In-house project management was something of a new concept for the parish workers.
When we first started to make this change, there was a lot of criticism from outside engineering firms that made the statement that you can't take engineers from the plants and bring them into the public sector and be successful because everything's different. Well, that part's true. It is different. It's different doing engineering in the public sector versus doing engineering in the private sector. But the fundamentals are the same. The fundamentals of good sound in engineering are the same. The fundamentals of going out and taking a project and developing the concept of the scope of work and doing that scope of work properly. When you do a project, any type of a project, the scope of work and getting input from your people who work in the field is the most valuable part.
Today, the frontline workers from the Public Works Department have input with the in-house engineers, and the parish's own engineers manage and oversee the work in progress by outside firms.
We think we've been able to prove that by having good in-house people doing projects and people who have ownership, that you can make the system work.
To date, the Public Works Department has implemented many resourceful solutions. Here you'll see how the collaborative efforts of workers in the field contributed to the success of drainage projects in some key areas of the parish.
We just wanted the opportunity to come out this morning and show you some of the work that the parish workers have been doing.
One particular problem in the Willowridge area, which has plagued the neighborhood since its early construction, is this main rain ditch behind Choctaw Drive.
We're at a particular area where we had a restriction in what we call the rain ditch behind Willowridge. And with the restriction, there was a very narrow part of the ditch that could not be cleaned or what you call clean and snag in order to clean it. And it's because the ditch was actually in the wrong place. And the ditch inadvertently got cut in the wrong place in the early part of construction when the subdivision was early on developed. So we went through a process of permitting in order to relocate the ditch. It took us almost 10 months in order to get the permit.
As soon as the permits were granted, this team went to work.
We had a 60-foot cabelco and a dozer, and we hauled dirt in with dump trucks and filled the ditch in and reshaped another ditch. Moved the levee that was here, moved it over about 40 feet, made a new levee.
It did a lot of accomplishment for the people that stays back here, because by moving the ditch back, it made it more wider for the area for our trucks to get by. We need to get there for any reason.
At one time, this property marker was in the center of the ditch. The ditch was probably 8 to 10 feet wide. We ended up filling it with dirt and moving the servitude back, moving the ditch back in the servitude so we can have enough servitude to come in here and clean the ditch and stuff if we ever have to.
Moving the ditch to its proper place was only half of the job. To keep the water flowing, workers had to ensure the ditch was cut to the proper depth.
Well, you need the right level to get the water flowing in the right direction, because around here is gravity fed, so you needed to have the right level.
After a 10-month permitting process and 2 weeks of construction on site, the water is flowing the way it was intended, and residents are seeing the difference.
What happened by being able to move the ditch back to its proper place, well, it allowed us to open the ditch. It allowed us to increase the flow going over through the ring ditch over to the Cousins pumping station. There are a lot of residents that don't realize that all of the water behind Willowridge has to go all the way down through the drainage ditch and follow the canal, follow the ditch that runs along the levee on Willowdale, and eventually go all the way to the Cousins pumping station. So by cleaning this ditch and moving it over, it allowed us to open the ditch to get more flow through it.
The new ditch has resolved drainage issues during heavy rains, but there was more work to be done to hold back tidal water.
When we get high water, the water actually circulates on itself. And once we get to a certain height of tidal, the Cousins pumping station will actually flow back in a circle. And the tide water will go around in a circle through the ring ditch to the pumping station and right back out to the marsh again. And the strong southerly winds allow this water to push back in, and it will literally set in here for weeks and months. And the answer to solving the problem is building what we call the West Bank Levee. And the answer to solving the problem is building what we call Donaldsonville to the Gulf.
While those major projects are being worked through the permitting and financing processes, the Public Works Department is designing, permitting, and constructing several incremental projects, like the one here in Willowridge.
Keep in mind, as this water was flowing to the pumping station, that was less water we can flow from the area that we just filmed going around the ring ditch. And that same water goes back along, follows the canal, and goes to the same pumping station.
The solution formed by the Public Works team for Willowridge was to build a dam between the tidal flow area and the rain ditch. By adjusting the elevation on the pump side, the rainwater from the neighborhood flows to the pumping station first, while the dam holds back the tidal water from Lake Catawatchee. This simple adjustment in water flow solves a frequent problem and offers this area an interim solution until the West Bank Levee and Donaldsonville to the Gulf are completed.
What seems to be a very simple fix here is indeed a relatively simple fix, but in order to permit it, it's a long process. I believe this permit, in order to get this from DNR and the Corps, took us months, 6 to 7 months to get this permit. And then of course our guys came in here and did an excellent job. And you'll see the difference in the height from the outside water and the pump level on the insides.
We came in here and built a dam on each side, pumped the water out, took all the slush out, laid fabric material, hauled dirt in, packed it in place, and brought it up to our grade shot that was given to us through the permitting process. And about 3-foot difference in elevation of the water, that was not going back into the pumping system.
These public works employees are on the front lines, and they are an integral part of finding interim solutions.
This side of the water comes from Lake Catawatchee, and we blocked it off so they can keep the other side down real low and help the pump stations out.
This is the water clogging up the neighborhood in the back of Willowdale. So we're trying our best to see that it get to the main pumping station, which is George Cousin. And we're doing pretty good job at it as we look at it.
Another area of interim improvements is behind Holder Estates, where the current levee was frequently overtopped.
And the reason we want to show this is to show the interim step that we made to raise this section of levee.
When I first came down, I had to slow it down because it was so much water that we was pushing in, into these people's homes.
When we first come back here, water was all over here, the street, and it was terrible. We had to do something to help this community.
For many years when it rained, we'd have to come in here and put sandbags on the top of the levee here. And the project that we ended up doing, by filling the top of the levee and putting it up to grade, it eliminated that problem when the rain event takes place.
There's approximately 3,500 feet of levee from here down to the end down there that we raised because this is the area that we had overtopping with Hurricane Ike, and we had overtopping with the December '09 rain. And it took us 10-11 months to permit this section. And the reason I say this over and over again, there are just many agencies that we have to go through, and I want residents to understand how lengthy the process is. And these different agencies, the Wildlife and Fishery, DNR, the Corps, they have a lot of questions and they expect answers. It's a lengthy process, and just want people and residents to know that we're actively working on it, but try and better explain why it takes so long to do it. And the agencies want to help us, they really do, but they have their processes that they have to go through.
You heard a lot about the permit process, and I get involved with almost all the permits for St. Charles Parish. Deal with a lot of agencies, and it's a long process. They have comment periods for agencies to communicate with each other. They also have comment sections for the public where they have a time frame to put in their comments. And there's a lot of field trips. Each agency will send out at least one person to look at the project before we start. Then after we start, they come out and look at the project. And then when the project is finished, they come out and look at the project. And that's part of what takes so long, because they all have input into what's going on. First permit we had for this portion of berm was to sandbag it during an emergency, so we sandbagged it. And we knew that wouldn't last, so we permitted for to get the elevation up with clay material that we had in stock. And it's just the process that goes through that's timely, no real issues with it. But we still had to come out, show it to all the different scientists and biologists, and prove to them what we were doing and that we wouldn't do any other damage to the wetlands.
Parish President St. Pierre and VJ and the council members, every single council member are out here supporting us. Mr. Toste, Mr. Nuss, Mr. Othenlund, they're constantly out here, they're constantly at meetings, and this is a joint effort by all in trying to address the issues here.
There are hundreds of projects underway within the Public Works Department, most requiring long permitting processes or expensive financial commitments. But along with all of these major projects come some smaller issues that begin with a simple request from residents and a local level initiative and drive to resolve the problem.
This is an example of one of the many projects we do within the parish. The parish is crisscrossed in many areas by pipeline servitudes and right-of-ways. What we have is a subdivision and residences on both sides of this area. And what was happening here is we had a low area that would not drain. Very simple project, cooperation between all the pipeline companies. We were able to come in here, put some fill in, eliminate the mosquitoes and low areas. Now the water no longer stands here. That's what this little project is. We have many projects like this throughout the parish.
Well, they was having a problem with mosquitoes and water setting, and now we have one nice job back, straight, smooth, no water setting. And we put close to 100 loads in and spreaded them and took the potholes out, and residents are happy, and we are too. And as you can see behind me, the grass grew back real level, nice looking job.
We try to come up with a solution on it when we run across a problem that a resident brings in to mind or we happen to see. We try to come up with some type of solution that we can do.
Today, your Public Works Department has ownership of each project. Whether it's an operator on the front lines who sees a simple solution at the site, or an engineer who designs a complex solution around our wetlands. Whether it's federal, state, local, or even grant financed, the organization of the department is set up so that house employees, parish employees, are hands-on from design to completion. And when outside engineering firms are required, the parish has project managers assigned to the firm for efficient checks and balances of every project.
So we wanted to come out and just show you this and show you what the workers are doing and showing things that people are doing and workers are doing to try and take incremental steps to make things better while we work towards the larger picture of the West Bank levee and ultimately what we call Donaldsonville to the Gulf. And the total solution for the West Bank is called Donaldsonville to the Gulf.
Drainage issues and hurricane protection are a top priority for the administration. And here in the Public Works Department, they use all available resources to find the best short-term and long-term solutions. Even navigating through the permitting process has improved.
What has happened too, you know, with our system of doing things differently, we took a different approach on how we address working with the agencies. We took a different approach on how we work with DNR and how we work with the Corps. And that's what's changed our ability to be successful in getting permits. So the thing is to be able to go back and try and establish a relationship and try and understand why they're doing what they're doing. And then what you find out too, and what I found out, is that on the state level and on the level to Corps, when you go out and you meet with the people, talk with the people, understand why they want what they need, what you find out is that they're not a whole lot different than you are. Some of them actually live in this parish. They actually live here. But they have their jobs to do and they have their method of doing it, and they're very dedicated. So once you understand why they need what they need, then we better understand what we need to do.
So now, with a successful system in place, what's in store for the future?
So what we're trying to do right now is we're trying to figure out how to put a mechanical integrity program together that will work years to come. So what we're doing, we're looking at how to put together an annual contracts for specific type work that we can come in and we can bring an outside firm in to document the maintenance on the pumps, conduct the maintenance on the pumps, and maintain the pumps. And that's a major difference between a progressive mechanical integrity program versus running a piece of equipment to failure in many cases. Because what happens when you have a concept of running equipment to failure is, what if that failure is in the middle of that rain event?
The Public Works Department presents frequent reports to the public and the council throughout the year. Each report is posted on the website along with financial information. So to learn more about all the projects underway in the Public Works Department, log on to stcharlesparish-la.gov and get the whole story on the Public Works Department.